But if we don't get to this in our last 5 minutes, people are going to, blow a gasket. What's going on? What's new in Kyle Rittenhouse?
Oh, yeah. So a couple of things. Linwood is back to Linwood and John Pierce are both busy trying to figure out how they each can steal the bail money. So Linwood had some lawyer write saying, Fight Back Foundation wants the money. John Pierce is still trying to pretend that he's going to get the money. And so, that disaster sideshow continues to happen. But more and more people are seeing who Linwood is. We were the first to talk about it. There's that famous meme of you and I called Linsanity from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, of walking Lynn into the nut house where he has belonged for a while.
Was that a Talix meme, if I do recall correctly? I believe that was Talix.
Yes, probably was Talix from our locals board. Great meme maker. We have him, Captain Mike, a bunch of great meme makers that are fantastic on the board. So so there was that sideshow. I'm in charge of that aspect, and I'm confident that we will make sure that money goes to where the donors originally gave it for, which was the legal defense and the safety and security of Kyle Rittenhouse. In court, many good rulings. There were some rulings we talked about that really happened 2 weeks ago, but some people are catching up on, which is all of the prosecutors' efforts to try to smear Kyle with a bunch of nonsense about things that allegedly happened before the incident in Kenosha, before he had to defend himself in Kenosha. Were all excluded. So none of that stuff's coming in. Additionally, the Daubert hearing was held. In the Daubert hearing, the government didn't have an expert yet. They came up with their expert at the last minute. I presume they're going to only try to keep him as a rebuttal expert, because the judge was like, why is your expert only being disclosed now when it was due months ago?
For the ignorant person out there, myself included, what do they need an expert for? Self-defense or cause of death?
Yeah, so in the U.S. court system, you're allowed to use an expert for any subject or topic that's beyond the ordinary knowledge of a juror. And here there are many potential topics that were beyond the ordinary knowledge of the jury. So, we could have utilized some other experts, but it's taken the path that's currently taken. In my view, there were a right to use an expert to describe Antifa violence and a range of things. For a range of reasons, because of where the case has gone, that's not going to be necessary. But one of the witnesses is a use of force expert. And the use of it, and people can go and watch the whole, it's on Law and Crime. There's also a breakdown by Nick Ricade and some others. And I think the dude with I'm blanking on his name, Matthew and the blonde.
Christensen, Matt Christensen.
Matt Christensen. That's what happens when you have your co-host is named the blonde. It's much easier to remember. Sorry, Matt. But he did a good breakdown as well. The expert testified. People can watch it very, very well. And you get to see a real expert who independently assessed this, who usually testifies for the government, gets up and says that this was not only a classic case of self-defense, but once you understand the circumstances, the danger that gun presents to Kyle, given that other people are grabbing it and trying to remove it, given the other sequence of events that are happening, breaking it down in slow motion, then it reveals why Kyle has a robust self-defense. The government expert wasn't even ready, might be ready in a week or two, and I don't think is going to be a very effective witness, and I presume is only going to be a rebuttal witness since they failed to timely disclose it. Last but not least in that respect, it will likely be jury selection will be done in person. The trial begins the first week of November. And I'll be up there, of course, helping with jury selection and a whole bunch of other aspects with the trial. And we'll have some friends helping me out, but maybe we'll disclose that a little bit later when they want to do it. But so we're going to put a top-notch team. Tim Pool's been worried, understandably so, because there is real juror bias in Kenosha due to the media lies that have been spread about Kyle Rittenhouse. But we are going to have an extraordinary, maybe the best ever jury selection team put together for anybody, anywhere, any place, anytime. And if we get a jury that properly presumes Kyle innocent, he will be adjudicated innocent. Oh, one last component. The gun charge will likely be dismissed as being void for vagueness. The court denied the motion on the current grounds that had been brought, but made the point that he goes, when you have a bunch of judges having to spend lots of time and a bunch of lawyers trying to figure out what the law might mean, then that means that law is void for vagueness. How can an ordinary person know that they are criminally punished under this law when we can't even figure out what it means necessarily? So it's a very good common sense approach from that court that's taken a common sense approach to pretty much everything. And so that charge will likely be dismissed, and only the other charges will go to trial. And Kyle should, and I believe will be acquitted of all charges, as long as we get a fair jury. And we're going to do everything possible to make sure he gets that constitutionally protected, impartial jury that presumes him innocent as the law requires.
And now 2 questions about the jury. Do we know if, I mean, I asked the question, I feel absurd asking it. Are there going to be vaccination requirements for the jury, or do
no,
we
no.
know that that's okay?
Nope. None of that in Wisconsin. I think mask mandates are even gone. No one was wearing a mask in court.
That was the second question. I mean, are we going to have a trial by mask, or is it going to be, you know, people are going to see the witnesses and their actual faces and their actual responses?
I'm not certain yet that the court's made final determination on that, but my understanding is everything's going to be normal. They're not going to be treating it like we're in some weird setting. What is interesting is the state said, the government, the prosecutor said, there's some witnesses who want to testify. They were pretending they were going to call 150 witnesses, which was a joke. That the court was like, that's nonsense. Tell me how many real witnesses you're going to call. And the prosecutor's like, oh, okay, maybe around 27. So it'll be a lot less, of course. But some of these witnesses apparently don't want to be shown. They don't want anybody to see him.
I can totally.
Why is that? Are they worried about people looking at their social media? Are they worried that there's going to be like in the Roger Stone case where the jurors didn't want people to know things about them because it would have exposed their bias and prejudice? There's a public right of access to these proceedings, and the fact that some of these witnesses want to hide raises questions about what their real motivation is. They said they don't want to be harassed. There's lots of legal ways to protect that. Anybody who harasses any witness is going to be prosecuted. That's any prosecutor witness. That's a guarantee. Nobody's going to harass any witness. But if you're hiding something, don't think you can hide it and get up and testify on the stand without being cross-examined on it, because all the lawyers know who you are and will be able to dig that up. But I think it's an effort for some witnesses to try to lie and get away with it on the stand.
And when exactly do we expect jury selection to start? This is first week in November?
First week in November.
Okay, that's good. And is it going to be televised?
I believe it's Monday, November 1st. I'll be up there a little bit before that.
Okay.
But it'll be we'll be ready to roll. And if again, all we need is a jury that presumes Kyle innocent under the law as the law requires. If that is the case, the facts will prove Kyle is innocent.